Hey everyone, this is Zola and welcome to Retrospect. It's a documentary I've been making, it's a passion project. I had zero funding for this, which means that I've not getting paid for it. If anything, I've lost a bit of money because I've had to pay a lot of musicians for the rights to use their music for this. But it's something I felt I had to do because we're coming up to like 10 years since Halo 2 came out. It is, and I thought it'd be nice to give people the chance to reminisce and share their thoughts on the game series we all love. Obviously I love it, and I owe a lot to the Halo series, which is why I felt I needed to do this. I've done this all off my own back. I don't have an affiliation with 343 Industries or Bungie or anyone else, so that's given me the right to let people say what they like and what they didn't like. And whereas that might have not been the case if I had done it directly for one of these companies. So hopefully I can offer like a balanced view. Obviously we all love the game, but we all know the series wasn't perfect either. So that's given me the chance to do that. I'd like to thank everyone who donated footage. I got maybe over 1 terabyte's worth, which equates to like well over 24 hours, of which I watched every clip. Obviously I couldn't put them all in. So it's very condensed. I've tried to get as many people in as possible, but a lot of people ended up saying the same things, and so I've just tried to kind of add a bit of variation in there and put the people in there that had a kind of slightly different view or was directly involved with the game when it came out, like some of the pro players. So that explains that, hopefully. Obviously it wasn't traditional, so I couldn't go around and shoot all the people myself and ask them questions and such, and so people were using cell phones, cameras and a lot of different ways to record themselves, so the qualities will differ. Some people have great cameras, some people didn't, some shot at 60 frames a second, some shot at 23, a lot of people don't know the difference, so the quality will vary, but again I've done my best to kind of try and smooth that over and reduce background noise and stuff like that. Lastly, the cutaways in the film. Again, I got sent a lot of cutaways, but sometimes when people are speaking, I've used cutaways from different people, if that makes sense. So just because a person is talking doesn't mean that the footage I'm showing of them maybe playing in a house is the same person. I've kind of took the license to use the cutaways creatively, I guess. Just so that we're not looking at talking heads for an hour and a half, because obviously not all the people who I've used in the video sent cutaways, so that explains that. Lastly, I'm going to be using myself as a kind of conduit between the different parts to kind of link sections together. Like I said before, I didn't have a script for these people, so I've just kind of done my best to organise it in a kind of chronological way, in a way that makes sense, at least to myself, and I'll be using myself to kind of link in between the sections, hopefully. So that's it. I thank you for listening to me, and I hope you enjoyed the documentary.
Chief, can you hear me?
Hey everyone, my name is James Woodlow, but you might know me as Zola. I'm a freelance motion graphics designer here in London. and I've been here for over 4 years now. I moved down to London for work, and I certainly wouldn't have gotten that work without playing Halo. So for me, the Halo story started a long time ago, nearly 10 years now.
I played pretty much every game I got my hands on growing up until I was 12 years old. I forced my mom to play Ninja Turtles with me when I was 5, and she'd unplug the controller and pretend like she was playing, and I wouldn't pick up on it. But I've been a gamer my whole life, but Halo really changed the way that I looked at games and the way that I saw the power of video games and what they can do for people.
Halo 1 launched in 2001. It was a launch title for the Xbox. It probably saved Microsoft from having the Xbox just dip right into mediocrity right off the bat. But not only was it a good game in its own right, but it actually birthed everything about modern console shooters.
Et c'est vrai que dès ce premier jour, dès ce premier contact, c'était une histoire d'amour. Il y avait, je jouais avant, comme tout le monde, avec un seul stick sur la manette, c'était GoldenEye sur 64 par exemple. Et là, il a fallu un temps, c'était révolutionnaire quoi, d'avoir une telle fluidité de gameplay. Et enfin, même dans la façon de jouer un FPS sur console, c'était révolutionnaire. Et puis en même temps, c'était une nouvelle console, donc c'était magnifique. Il y avait une bande son que tout le monde connaît, qui est inoubliable. Donc dès le départ, c'était un coup de cœur.
When I think about Halo, and not a whole lot of younger gamers are going to talk about this, but I really see the development of the modern console FPS. And that's evident to me when you look at CE, when you look at the first release of Bungie. That game came out in a time when console FPS was just dominated by the traditional crossovers like Unreal Tournament, Quake, you know, and even titles that weren't necessarily released on console like Doom. You have all these established names, you know, all these companies, all these brands, all these games that have really created the idea of what an arena style FPS should be. And what Bungie did was they kind of adapted that and improved on the foundations and really made their own arena style FPS. They basically said, here's what everyone else does and here's what we're going to do.
The first time I remember playing Halo was, I want to say 8th grade or freshman year. I honestly can't remember, but you know, I went over at my friend, you know, Joe Fry's house, and we were just starting to become friends. We actually started talking about Dynasty Warriors on the bus at school. But you know, we came over. I met another kid from our high school, and his name was Pat. And you know, we said, let's play this game Halo. I've never even heard of it. I was a PlayStation 2. I mean, during that generation, I had the PlayStation 2. I wasn't really an Xbox fan. I didn't really actually know about it. And like, so you know, they throw this game at me, and it's something completely new.
Halo was the first game that I ever played, and I still remember the first time I stepped off that crash shuttle on the second mission of Halo CE. God, it must have been 6 or 7. And just looking over the mountains and the valley and feeling that sense of freedom, it made a big impression on me for sure. And sure enough, about 10 years later, here I am, still playing the game.
It was just so fluid, so intense. Just like again, running through that first level. You know, I think the first time I came up to a pile of grenades. There's 4 frags sitting by like some life pods or whatever they're about to escape, and you just get to chuck all 4 grenades at this giant pile of enemies, and you see not only can you throw them while you have your gun out, but you know, you can it'll kill an enemy and then it'll set off their grenades, creating this giant chain reaction, and it was about the coolest thing you could see as a 13 or 14-year-old or whatever.
Back in the day, you know, Halo was kind of revolutionary with Halo CE. In the past, you had always played first-person shooters on the same screen, like with GoldenEye. You would have to put up a piece of cardboard so that you wouldn't be able to screen watch. Well, when Halo 1 came out, they had system link. So System Link right there was groundbreaking. No one had ever seen that you could play the same match on a console in 2 different rooms.
What really drew me in was actually landing at a friend's house. He asked me if I'd played Halo. I said, well, yeah, I've played it before, but I didn't like it that much. He's like, well, you should come play with us. It's a lot of fun when you get a good group of people together. And I didn't know what he was even talking about because I never knew that you could do this in the game. So basically, I ended up landing in my friend Jeremy's basement. We had a good 12 to 16 people that would show up every single week, and just play games until 3 or 4 in the morning. We'd make like 3 Taco Bell runs. It was a lot of fun, and it really showed me that the first aspects of getting to know people through gaming, which I guess is kind of how Halo has affected me the most.
After we've been playing for a little bit, a couple months and hanging out with each other, and we started doing LANs and just kind of. I remember in his old gaming room we had these big TV stands, and we had these big tubes, and one bigger tube TV was on the other side of the room, and we all have our backs to each other. And that was like the first time. So anybody could at any time turn around and just look at the other screen. And so it was always just funny because the trash talk would be right there in the room. You'd be turning around and everybody was just going at each other. So it was fun. That was like a whole new experience. Gaming to me was always alone. I'd gone from Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64, Zelda, Ocarina of Time was like I was always playing by myself, but this was a new experience that I was actually able to play games with people in the same room and compete and stuff, and just kind of for fun.
Il y a cet équilibrage entre les power-up, donc la visibilité en haut, en bas pour pouvoir remonter en cas de domination sur soi, et en même temps l'overshield pour faire de la défense au dernier étage. Et tout cet équilibrage fait que, et puis tactiquement aussi avec les tactical grenades, tout un tas de... En fait c'est un système Halo 1 qui fait que c'est juste 4 fois plus skillé que n'importe quel autre Halo. Et la comparaison est juste, pour moi, quelqu'un qui va dire qu'Halo 2 ou un autre Halo est sur le plan compétitif plus abouti, c'est juste quelqu'un qui n'y a pas joué ou qui n'a pas compris. Parce que on pouvait contrôler à l'endroit près le respawn des gens. Voilà, il y a un critère en compétitivité qui permet de définir si le jeu est bon ou pas à ce niveau-là. C'est l'écart entre un joueur très bon qui joue tout le temps et juste un bon joueur. Et vous avez tous fait l'expérience, si on prend un jeu comme Halo 3 ou encore pire Halo 4, entre un bon joueur et un très bon joueur, il ne va pas avoir grande différence. On va finir sur une partie à 50-40 peut-être, ou 50-35 si vraiment il y a eu une raclée qui a été mise en fait. Mais ça c'est significatif. Que mettre 35 frags quand même, n'empêche de se prendre une grosse raclée. Sur Halo 1, si la personne est meilleure que vous perdez 50-0. Il est impitoyable le jeu, et c'est ça qu'on attend d'un jeu compétitif.
CE on its release had so much depth and detail to it as far as gameplay went. It was almost impossible if you played that game. It was literally impossible not to be obsessed with it. Particularly when you were my age when CE came out. I was only 11. I was obsessed with the game from the beginning, and that only that form of obsession, this I only want to play Halo, really carried over when Halo 2 came out. And just the way that Halo 2 revolutionized not just console gaming, but online multiplayer and the experience that carries with it. They're literally, as far as console gaming goes, there is no franchise more groundbreaking that set the tone for so many ideas of what a game is than Bungie and 343 and the Halo franchise.
Je fais partie de la génération qui a connu Xbox Connect et toutes ces essais pour faire du jeu en ligne qui n'était pas prévu par Halo 1 à la base, Halo CE. Et donc avec nos petits débits qui étaient du 0,5 mégas, on essayait de faire des parties comme on pouvait, donc par XBC pour ceux qui connaissent. c'était vraiment l'arrivée vraiment du jeu d'internet du jeu par internet sur console qui était avec Halo en fait.
I remember being the worst XBC player of all time. I just could never learn to lead my shot. My pistol was never the same. But it did teach you how to use grenades and a few other of the aspects in the game, like really putting emphasis on power weapons and controlling those. So we learned a lot from Halo going system link to XBC, but I thought the biggest jump for the community as a whole was going from the XBC, the GameSpy days on Halo 1, to the matchmaking that came out in Halo 2. It was the same game for everyone, all different matchmaking playlists. We had the MLG playlist later, but everyone was playing the same game, and no longer did you have to drive to an event physically to find out were you really the best in your state or in that region of the country. You could just hop online and see, does that guy have a 50? Is he in the 20s? You could immediately see how they stacked up based on the matchmaking ranking system.
Yeah, you know, and then Halo 2 was announced, and with online multiplayer, and I was like, oh shit, this is not going to be good for me, man. This is gonna start an addiction, and I knew I had this innate feeling like it was gonna consume my life.
Compared to Halo 3, Halo Reach, everybody had mics. Everybody had open mics, so nobody was in private chat, you know, or people were just concentrated on themselves. Everybody was very social, and that element of Xbox Live was, yeah, I think
social yet rude.
Rude, immature. I mean, everybody was like in the range of 10 to
we got exposed to a whole new range of curse words.
Yeah, that was fun. It helped with English, of course.
I'm against them for sure. Oh my God, I gotta get that door. Oh, the door is playing.
Xbox Live became our LAN party, our daily LAN party.
Yeah.
And you got to know a lot of people.
It was like a giant city where something was always going on. People were always doing these interesting things and exercising their creativity over what ultimately you look back on as a very limited medium. We didn't have a lot of tools to do the things that we do now. But still, people managed to make this game just absolutely incredible, and I could not pry myself away from it for 3 straight years.
So I bought Halo 2 when I was 18. I was working a dead-end job, not really making a lot of money, working 4 afternoons a week. And my best friend, who I used to play Halo 1 with at his house, told me to get it. I didn't have an Xbox. He said this would be the reason to get it. So like, get an Xbox 2, get Halo 2. We'll be able to play online, won't have to go to each other's houses. So I did, I saved up, I got it, and it completely changed my life. I mean, obviously like everyone else, I was used to gaming by myself, and suddenly you could play with all these like thousands of people online, and you know, you had your own persona, you had your gamer tag, you were yourself in real life, and then online you were Zola, or you were whoever your gamer tag was, and you could represent yourself to whoever you wanted in whatever way you wanted, and I felt that was really interesting. You had a new category of friends. You had your online friends. So these were people that you played with every day, and maybe 4, 5, 6 hours, and sometimes that you spent more time with than your friends in real life. And for me, that was also really interesting, because before that, you had people you spoke to on MSN or AIM, but to actually speak with them, and you ended up probably sharing a lot with these people and getting to know them really, really deeply over like the hours and hours and hours that you would play with them online. So for me, that's what was really interesting about Halo 2 and actually going online.
I made some top friends from Halo, from a single game of matchmaking. I've met people that are now my best mates, outside of Halo. Just from one single game of matchmaking on Xbox Live, however many years ago. I met guys that I've lived with, I've been on holiday with, I've worked with, Really, that's something that I think everyone will say, and everyone in the Halo community will say, is people have met, people have met people through Halo. Friendships have been made through that game, yeah, you get the occasional person who you do not make friends with or bad mouthing people in games, whatever. But you know, people make friends through Halo for sure.
It was competitive. It was fun. You could do all sorts of glitches with your friends. There were a lot of Easter eggs you could discover and so on. So Halo 2 wasn't just one game. It was a game with so many possibilities, and you weren't obliged to play according to the rules, you know. So that was something I really liked about Halo 2.
Halo 2 a été sauvé à cause des erreurs, dans le sens où les BXR et les doubles rafales, ce genre de choses, sont le fruit de bugs qu'ils n'avaient pas prévus. Mais sans ça, le jeu était pourri, il n'y avait pas de skill. Tout le skill vient de bugs en fait. Et c'est ça qui a sauvé Halo 2 et qui a fait toute la carrière immense, qui a été du jamais vu et qui a jamais été égalé sur un jeu Halo depuis.
So obviously after playing online a bit, you wanted to know like who was the best. You know, you'd come up against a few people, but you'd want to know, like, obviously back then you had the leaderboards on Bungie, and you were like, but who are the best players in the world? I mean, it's just human nature to want to find out, and so you would end up going online and you find out about Zyos and the Ogres and all their players who were like tearing it up. And back then it was SDK, and that was really interesting for me because you had the best players in your area, and then you had the best players from the UK, and then maybe Europe, and then it was just really interesting to see who was the best players in the world at the time.
Devilman, Severance, what was it? Fallacy, Sir Samurai, Murphman, and Fonzie were all the first people I remember playing with that were really good. Pretty much the guys from Straight Rippin' were the ones that got me into MLG back in 04. Peter, who's Fallacy, Peter is, Fallacy kind of took me under his wing and showed me a lot of the crazier things that I would have never thought of in gaming. Everything from, hey, this type of material on this map is better for throwing a grenade off of it, and it makes it fly out this way. So it really made me second guess how much I knew about a video game when I saw just how much him and people like Fonzie and the rest of the Straight Rippin' crew really put forth a lot of time to know the ins and the outs of the game.
I actually grew up 7 houses down from the Ogres. Lived next to them for 11 years before I actually started hanging out with them. We were on the same school bus, and when the new consoles came out, they picked up the GameCube, I picked up the Xbox, and I heard them talking 3 seats up in front of me. We were in different grade levels, so I'd never met them at school, really, never hung out. But on the school bus, we started talking about video games, and I invited them over to come play Halo at my house. And after that first day, my brother and I just whooped them. Destroyed them on Hang-'em High. I believe we were playing Hang-'em High Snipers, and it was like 50-9 in the 2v2. But from there, they just kept coming over. We would play at each other's houses all summer long, and within a month and a half, they were better than my brother and I. I got involved with MLG by just being a pro player. I planned on attending MLG's first tournament that they were holding in New York in October. Unfortunately, that same weekend, my grandma passed away, so I wasn't able to attend it. But from there, I was always kind of on the forums, always giving them suggestions, what rules and settings they should be running, because at that time, I thought I had it all figured out. I played with the best, I knew the best games to play, the best game modes to play. So my interaction with them was mainly through the forums at first, but in person, it started when Adam Apicella, our now EVP of Operations at MLG, he was my partner in running our first tournament, Halo Nationals, him and Adam Trion. And MLG, they came in, they sponsored the event, they gave us all the prize money, all the equipment we needed to get that first tournament up and running. And really, MLG is the one that kind of stepped in and took it from this really trashy grassroots land center level to making it something that had a lot of prize money on the line and really a lot more emphasis and put it into a professional environment.
By the junior year, after playing so much Halo 2 just for fun, I quickly learned about a tournament league called MLG, which was throwing Halo tournaments. And at the time, I was just like, all right, it's just a tournament. But then I quickly, with some more research, figured out that there were people that were making 6 figures from playing video games. And I was like in my head, okay, what is a dream? A dream is something that you wish you could get. And at the end of the day, it's basically a job or a hobby that you could do for a living while still making money. In my opinion, that is what a dream is, and that's exactly what Halo did for me.
Earliest memory of Sundance and Mike was when it was on the forums. It was Sundance, who was a purple hippo at the time, and Rocket 5000 was Sepso. I remember both of them posting stuff about their tournaments coming up, and me being the young 15-year-old jerk would go on there and roast them. So that was my first impression of them online. My first time ever meeting them, though, was at my first tournament I ever ran, Halo Nationals. MLG came in and sponsored that tournament, paid for all the prize money, all the equipment. And I remember seeing this guy in a purple velour suit with a beard named Sundance, and this little stocky guy named Sepso. They both just looked like New Yorkers. I didn't trust them, but I knew that deep down they were probably nice guys, but they're pretty intimidating.
I attended my first tournament in 2002. I won $50. I think first place there was around $2,000 or $5,000 for first place. Nothing that substantial. And I just kept attending tournaments because, I don't know, I kind of just felt like I wanted to prove myself to be the best at something. I'd always been a gamer. Prize money, like I said, wasn't there at the time, but it just seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like the perfect competition to me. Everyone was kind of on the same playing ground. You weren't born, either taller than someone or stronger than someone, or a lot of those exact physical traits you see in sports. And so I felt that gaming itself was more of a mind game, similar to like chess or something along those lines. Obviously, you still have these different twitch reactions and reaction speed that come into play in Halo, but I really love the mind games in gaming.
Old events, you could go in and everybody knew everyone. Like there was literally there wasn't any big heads in the crowd really. It was really funny, all the like weird stories, like when I went to New York Championship 06 on $53 because drummer offered to drive me, and I slept on Zone 6's floor for 4 straight days and ate double cheeseburgers in Times Square, and somehow made it through the weekend in downtown New York with $53 to my name. Or my friend Dan trying to get out of $45 parking at Chicago 05 by driving up and over a median that was at least 10 inches high, busted his tire, and after that, every time he took a left turn, his car would make a giant clunk noise. Those were the good old days of competing, back when everyone was broke and no one could really afford all the fun stuff that is almost supplied for it now.
When I was 19, I was at Ohio University. I was loving it, just got through fraternity hazing, was finally in the fraternity. Every day was a party, meeting all kinds of girls and going to a few classes in between. And I get the phone call from Sundance. It's freezing cold outside in New York, also in Ohio at the time. There's snow all over the ground, and he calls me, he says, "Puckett, we did it. We got the first round of initial investments. We want you to move to New York. How soon can you get here?" So it wasn't a question, do you want the job? It was, how soon can you get there? And I told him I got to look into it. Let me talk to my parents and figure it out. I told my parents what I wanted to do, that I wanted to leave my sophomore year of college at Ohio University and move to New York City. They were so mad at me. I remember my mom teared up. My dad said, this is a decision. I'll support you in it. But if you decide to go out to New York, you're not getting any financial aid when you come back if you need to go back to school. So I took the gamble. I told Sundance I was in, and I ended up moving out. I believe I got here on Mother's Day. My mom drove me from Ohio to New York City. I remember working in St. Louis as the Xbox updates came out, and I pulled a 52-hour day. I would stay up all night, setting my alarm every 22 minutes, switching out the Xboxes, uploading the next one, and then running the tournament all day long. That was one of the craziest times, just looking back and thinking how small we were. But nowadays, you know, we have the Xbox relationship. We have the relationship with the big publishers where we'll let them know, hey, we have this big tournament coming up, and they'll say, oh, we should really help you get this update done before the tournament starts. It's really incredible to see that now the people that we used to just borrow their game to run the tournaments, we're now working hand in hand with them to make a great experience. But one of the other biggest improvements I saw throughout my time here at MLG in the last 10 and a half years has been the production. You know, we started with a grainy camera, a live stream before live streaming was cool or really existed on the internet, and every year the production got better. In 2006, we took it to the next level, making a 30-minute TV show once a week on USA Networks. 2007, I moved out to Santa Monica for 2 months and worked on the 2007 TV show, where even there we took it to the next level by taking a modded version of Halo 2, getting cool cinematic shots and doing some of the stuff that you would later see in montages in 2008, 2009. But now, looking at it and just seeing the production value, we have crane cameras, we have graphics, we have ridiculous lighting, and we've really put this spotlight on the players to make them the rock stars.
You know, you go to an event, like an opener, you go to an opening event for MLG, and you just see the biggest smiles on everyone's faces because it's the first time they've seen some of their friends in months. But it's still almost like they're seeing their best friend that moved away a couple of years ago. It's like they're seeing them for the first time again. It's the same thing. It's really an incredible thing to see, especially if you're a people watcher. You know, take a look at that kind of thing if you ever go to an event, especially an opener.
The first tournament I ever actually went to was 07 Meadowlands. And I live in New Jersey, which made it super, super easy for me to get there. And my parents allowed it, making it a lot easier for me to go there and not having a hard time of traveling. So as soon as I went to that first tournament in Halo 2, my entire life changed. So I saw what I thought was the coolest thing in the world, the coolest event thrown in the world. It was cooler than a music concert. It was cooler than going to a basketball game, football game, baseball. It was something that I truly loved, and that was competitive gaming. And as soon as I went in there, all I saw was a bunch of other personalities, people, different color, different race, different everything, different height, different weight. It didn't matter. We all came and banded together because we loved one thing, and that was Halo.
We're the only ones who could figure out how to display Halo, a 4v4 game mode where you have 8 different screens and somehow tell that storyline. A lot of it was custom graphics that we had to build in. A lot of it was tying the gameplay footage to the player's camera so that you could actually see the human aspect behind the controller. We revolutionized how video games were being broadcast at that time. On the other side, for PC, we had Counter-Strike that kind of was that thing that we could learn from. But on the console end, we were the only ones in the space taking on such a huge project.
Things changed quite drastically for me because not only did prize money shoot up, but this idea of it being on a TV show. So we had gone to tournaments this entire year. This is 2006, traveling all the way from Meadowlands and ending out in Vegas. And at the end of the year, around Christmas time, this was after all the tournaments had been played out. I was going around to the mall and doing some Christmas shopping, and this girl behind, I believe I was buying chocolates or something. It was for my mom, and this girl behind the counter was like, "Wait, are you Walshy?" I'm just like, "What is going on right now?" At gaming competitions, I can be recognized by gamers. That's completely understandable because I know all the other top gamers, and I understand that. But this is the first time I had ever been recognized by someone who I would classify as a complete non-gamer. She admitted, she's like, "I've never played games before, but she was like, my boyfriend always watches you on TV. He's always up on Saturday mornings watching your show." And I'm just like, this is blowing my mind. We're actually on TV. It seems weird. I still don't know how to react to that because I'm pretty far from some sort of TV star or movie star, but it was amazing. It legitimized, I felt, gaming not only to my friends and family around me, but even to myself. It's just kind of the step up. Wow, I have no idea where this gaming thing's gonna take me, but I feel like it's gonna take me to great places.
STK 3D eventually became final boss. They were the God Squad. Everyone knew them, everyone loved them, everyone bet on them. Then you saw Straight Rippin' come in And this was this young team that could pull off a few wins, but never expected to make it to the grand finals. Or if they did make it to the grand finals, they'd just get stomped out by Final Boss. But Carbon really came together, and it was guys that we always knew. We've always seen them around. Shockwave and Gandhi, people that have been playing Halo 1 since back in the day. Shockwave really coming back strong in Halo 2, and Gandhi just showing that he was probably the best sniper in all of Halo 2. Helped Carbon just take it to the next level by finally adding Ghost Ayami, and with Karma on the team, these were the guys that were going to finally dethrone Final Boss.
Smart play there, coordinating with Gandhi to go around together. Gandhi and Karma wrestling over one together. It's 49 now, and there's Walsey. Karma's standing up. What is he doing? The game's not over. In red, Ben. Maybe he thought he had Walsey. Oh, but Ogre too.
Ben, come on, dude, sit down. What are you doing? We're not done.
Gandhi advising his teammates to stay in the game. It's not over. They need one more kill for $100,000. Look how calm and collected Shockwave is. Let's climb on board with him. Headed up the sniper ramp. Spots Walsey. Does he get the kill? Carbon wins the championship. No longer a Cinderella story. They are the undisputed top team in MLG and the 2006 national champions.
I remember at the end of 2007 and the very end of kind of Halo 2, and you had Final Boss who had just got strong side that season to replace Cyan, and they just swept the Nationals in Vegas, and that really was like an amazing climax to Halo 2, and then obviously Halo 3 came out.
Halo 3 for me was my favorite Halo ever.
I think MLG from Halo 2 to Halo 3 just carried on where it left off really. You had the events getting bigger and bigger. You had players, once again like appearing on Dr. Pepper bottles, which, back even a couple of 2 or 3 years ago was never going to happen. If you'd have asked me or anyone in the street, they would have told you that there was no way in hell that players would be appearing on like such major franchises as Dr. Pepper and Red Bull. And you saw the birth of streaming, I think, before these events, because teams had to be so practiced that you had like little LANs, and the LAN network in particular was one of the companies who picked up a kind of gap in the market, as it were, and they would invite people over and they would actually stream these LANs, and it became a massive business. And I think you can maybe even trace the success of companies like Justin TV and Twitch back to companies like the LAN network.
Halo really offered me the opportunity to start my own company, and that was the LAN network. I started it with some friends and my dad, and we had everybody fly out, and basically without knowing much about streaming capabilities, we started streaming our first LAN on Justin TV and had almost 30,000 viewers, and this was before Twitch had even existed. So we thought that this could be a really cool thing, and redesigned the website and had more and more teams come out. It just seemed like the more the better. We'd have 3 teams of 2, or 2 teams come out. We'd have 2 team LANs, and then we would have 3 team LANs, and then it was 5 team LANs, and then finally we started having 6 team LANs. So all of a sudden there's 30 people in the house, and we're running out of room. So we ended up getting a second house called dubbed the gaming house, that we would stash everybody in for the LANs, and we had 2 full setups over there with 16 monitors, 16 Xboxes, and it just was wild. The whole time that we had it, it was insane. Fear itself and T Squared lived there for a while, and man, it was just, it felt surreal. It was like a reality show happening without any cameras. There were so many so many crazy moments, fights and all sorts of stuff that should have never happened thinking back, but so I wouldn't trade any of that stuff for the world. So many fun memories.
I've downloaded Halo 2 and Halo 3 MLG championships, and I also watched a little bit of the Global Championship, and I got psyched. Each championship I've watched, I feel like I'm involved with the community. I feel like there's this excitement, like I'm actually there. And that's what makes me want to go to an event someday, is to be a part of that excitement. Whether it be rooting for the people who are playing or being a part of it and having people root for me.
I remember my first event, MLG Meadowlands. It was so crazy. Like I was with people who enjoyed the same thing I do. Everyone there enjoyed Halo. Everyone there knew who these pros were. I remember crowds freaking out and I remember Tizoxi got an extermination at one event I was at. And the crowd went wild. Like it was crazy how like Halo was that competitive.
Placing in the top 3 is probably one of the best feelings you'll ever have in your entire life. Even though I was just the coach, and but being up there, being on the main stage when you have those victories with everybody, it's just, you know, it's a team win, and you feel just as much a part of it as you would if you were holding a controller. And those are some of the best weekends of my entire life, going to those events. I've been to probably 25 MLG events, and it felt like each one got better every time. I could never miss. I mean, I still have only missed probably 3 or 4 events in the whole time that Halo's been gone, and going to college and different things. I always made it a priority to make it to every single event because of how much fun it was.
I remember the 2008 season really well, because back then teams were changing players like literally between every event. But towards back end of the season, you had Straight Ripping with T-Squared, Snipedown, Elmite and Legit obviously had become quite a force, and I was working on their montage at the time. And I remember just thinking, please do not split up. You know, I can't deal with a player leaving, because I'd invested so many hours into the video. And if a player left, I would inevitably have to cut them out of the video and bring in another player, and they might not have clips, and it would have been a nightmare. So I remember watching the championships with a more vested interest than probably anyone watching, apart from the players obviously. And just being so happy when they won, because it gave me the reprieve of like 3 or 4 months before the next season started to finish the Straight Ripping montage, which would obviously become kind of my calling card and put me on the radar for a lot of people that didn't know or hadn't seen my work before.
Montages were basically videos that consisted of a certain player, his greatest moments or his most lucky moments, or very simply put, his best snipes or his best sticks. And people got really creative with those montages in Halo 2.
I wanted to finally be a part of something. I wanted to make something, so I remember buying a Dazzle 90. And my first montage was like, it's on YouTube somewhere, but it's got no audio and it's so terrible. But I actually remember each and every clip as it was yesterday, every scenario, every reaction, how I got. I remember we captured the montages on like the Windows Movie Maker screen that was like this big, and it was late. I didn't play it through my TV. I had to play it through the computer on this little screen, and yeah, I remember doing that with my cousins and my best friends, and it brought us all together. And it really showed who my closest friends were, because we would set up 4 TVs at my house with a system link cable. You know, they're all they're all connected in the router, and then we would have these games. And I would have like kick my mom out of the house, and we'd all play this massive system link games.
Montages my friend gave me, I watched them so much that I actually burned
some of them onto a DVD, and I had a portable DVD player, and I would watch the like Halo montages he gave me on the portable DVD player while I took poos. I'd be on the toilet watching Halo montages because that's how I wanted to watch them every second, so I watched them every second.
I sat in theater for hours trying to figure out a way that I could show the scene in a kind of a non-normal way, in a way that no one had done before, and to get camera angles that were crazy hard to get, but in the end looked really cool. So I tried to make my videos kind of look like movies, and I think a lot of other people did too. And theater mode really allowed that to happen. Theater mode really transformed the montage scene, and it helped transform the montage scene from the SD club to the HD high production kind of style that the community went to.
I think MLG and montages went together really well because players by then were really like kind of superstars, rock stars, and they were sponsored, and obviously there was a lot of egos involved. I think to be a pro player you had to have some kind of ego, you had to believe in yourself. It's the same in pro sports as well, and I think the montage is kind of the natural way to show off how good you are. That's why I think they went together so perfectly. It was kind of perfect storm because you had players who obviously wanted to show their fans how good they were, and then one player would bring out his montage, and then the next player would say, well, I've got better clips than you, so I'm going to show everyone how much better I am than you. And I think that's why MLG and montages really went together so well.
I think it's undoubtable to say that during that second competition and during that period of Halo's peak, that not just that the montage scene was the face of Halo, but that Halo was almost the face of gaming as a whole at that point. It was the face of MLG, it was the face of machinima, it was the face of everything. You think gaming, you think Halo. They just kind of went hand in hand, and it was so cool to be a part of that.
I wasn't a great Halo player, I'll be the first to admit that, and I'm still not. But being an editor allowed me to kind of have some kind of persona or profile, I guess, in the community as a whole. I mean, the community is quite a wide thing, but I think there was room for everyone to have their kind of niche in there, and my niche was to be an editor. I enjoyed putting the videos together. I was at university, it wasn't really working out for me. I wasn't enjoying my course, and for me, coming home from my classes once I'd done my homework and messing around with Halo clips, with no pressure, was probably the most fun I could have, just being creative, and that allowed me to express my creativity. And I know a lot of the people who also got into editing Halo, it was the same thing for them. They wanted to just get away from what they were doing, and it was nice to be able to sit down and just plug away for a few hours and just forget about anything else in your life. And for me, that allowed me to be a somebody. It wasn't something I searched out, but it certainly wasn't something I disliked. Being recognised for videos and side projects that you've worked on is always nice. And in the end, I think when it came down to it for the montages, I think editors will always be in higher demands than good gameplay, because I think once you've seen good gameplay, you've seen it all. Once you've seen one MLG overkill, you've seen it all. There's going to be a very small margin between an absolutely amazing clip and another one which is just all headshots as well. So I think for me, when you watch a good montage, you're really watching the editor put together his vision for what the video should be. And I think if you give the same clips to 5 editors, you will have 5 completely different videos. And the best editors for me will always be higher in demands than good gameplay, because I think when you give a good editor the gameplay to work with, you're always going to see the best results.
If you were a fan of my work at the time, you really helped me pull through, because like I said, it wasn't a great time in my life, but to come home and read the feedback on these videos that I was making, it's honestly incredible.
kind of, we were there when the Empire was founded, this Montage Empire, you know, back in the Halo 2 days, and I was there and we watched it grew. You know, we saw it get built. We saw it kind of go from a nothing to a really big empire that kind of took over the internet, and we also saw it decline. And you know, it's sad that this empire that was once kind of ruled the internet, it ruled Halo. It's sad that it died, but I guess it kind of had to happen.
The community was great. I mean, it was made up of tiny communities. You had the jumping community, the tricking community, the montage community obviously was one of the bigger ones, and the MLG community as well. And all these little communities were really tightly knit, and there was obviously loads of other little forums, like I think there was E-Films as well back then, but I think the main thing was that all these people together were like a giant Halo family. And I got to know a lot of people, and I think there was a generally good feeling between everyone in the community, and it was a great time to be part of Halo, I guess.
What makes the game special is what we find when we go outside of the box. And when we move away from what the developers intended, and we find these wonderful, fully formed communities, like the jumping community, for instance, which I'll talk about later, and the editing community. The editing community is really a group of artists, first and foremost. I wouldn't say that we're gamers. I would say that Halo is an artistic medium through which we express our creativity, and Halo's editing community is such a unique place because it's moneyless. And that's huge if you think about it. Because I would say that within our community we have some really, really world-class editors in terms of creativity and originality and ability. But even so, you can go up to an editor and say, here, I have all these clips that I want to be edited. I was just wondering if you were willing to spend 500 hours editing a montage for me just because it would be cool. And the editor says, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do it. And he proceeds to do it and, make this time in his life for his passion, which is editing. Whereas in the real world, as we say, such a project would likely be worth thousands of dollars, and the editor would be doing it for thousands of dollars. But nobody thinks about that in the Halo community, and I think that's really, really cool.
There are just so many different facets to this community. It's spawned so many different types of not just Halo phenomena, but cultural phenomena. I mean, just to say the least, Rooster Teeth has done something absolutely magical for an entire genre of creative content on the internet with machinima. And that's not insignificant. That's an incredible feat, and it was all spawned by one game series.
Another example, as I mentioned earlier, of this outside-the-boxness is the jumping community, or should I say the jumping and tricking community, which, well, is a community that is ancient, and it was, I believe, the first community of Halo. Tricking started just after Halo CE's release, so it was way before online or MLG or anything. And it's very simple, fundamentally. Because what we do in the jumping and editing, the jumping and tricking universe, simply is we find a goal and then we reach it. And the amazing thing about Halo's game mechanics and the way it's been left to us for exploration is that we can almost always achieve those goals. So for an example, someone will say, okay, we're going to get this Jeep on top of that tower, and then we're going to make that Jeep go from this tower to that tower, and then they'll do it. And even if it takes 7 years of trying and brainstorming and trying to think different things out and inventing new methods of doing certain things, we will do it. And I think that's really, really interesting and inspiring in a lot of ways.
My favourite Halo 2 montage was Midpoints, because for me it was like the ultimate expression in creativity. This guy was a teacher, I believe, and he was a lot older than a lot of the players back then. But he still enjoyed playing the game, and you know, his clips weren't the best, but he actually made his own song and rapped over his own like clips for the last part of the montage. And I just remember watching that. I'd just gotten into watching Halo videos back then. I just remember thinking that is so cool. It's such a good idea, and even to this day it's not really been done again with anywhere near as much panache. So for me, Midpoint was just like the pinnacle for me of like what Halo was all about, like the creativity that was there within the community.
Bonfire, also Samurai and Killer Into, and any other peeps that support Exit Wounds. Trace, Wreck, my boy Famous, who dropped double shots that was so contagious. Best edit to the date is Titan 8, and plus for motivation, Bull X Rape. Last, I gotta thank Z in the Forum for keeping H2 alive and not getting born. See, your days will fly by, and when your years are through, believe me, you're gonna have to grow up too. Rape, GG.
I've been given so many opportunities through my work with Halo in the past. You know, at 20 years old, I was working on a TV show as an associate producer. I got a chance to learn production. 2007 came around and I got an opportunity to appear on camera with the CEO of the company, Sundance DiGiovanni. I met millions of people, you know, I've met thousands in person, even more online. And it's really just taught me a lot about interacting with other people, I think is one of the big ones. It's taught me how to become a professional and handle myself in professional scenarios. And more importantly, it's just taught me that you can do whatever you want in life. And if you try hard enough, you can make something really special.
Off the back of my videos, I got to kind of work with MLG. I knew a few people who worked at the company, and they'd see my videos, and then they were like, hey, you know, could you maybe help us out with one or two of these things? And like I said, MLG were really starting to become more of a brand now, and they needed their graphics to kind of look on point. And I know Peridius back then was doing some stuff for them as well, and I think me and him for like maybe 3 or 4 years probably took care of the whole of MLG's package. Graphics package, and it became, for me, it became the first time that I went from seeing like graphics and things like that as not just a passion but maybe a source of income down the line. And for me, that's where things switched, and I was like, oh, maybe I can make a career on this.
One thing that I've come to love is putting my interest and love for writing music into my montages. I went to school for 2 years for music, and I'm currently trying to pursue a career in music in any way I can. Okay, so here I'm just trying to figure out the ending of the montage that goes to, just trying to figure out a good part for this last few clips.
We ended up making Viral Design. It was in like 2010 or 11, something like that. And it started only as, you know, like a pretty amateur like montage editing group. And we became really good friends, you know, we talked a lot, we worked together a ton. And over time that we started going past Halo montages. We started working with, started doing freelance work as a group for companies like SteelSeries, Red Bull, Gunner Optics, a few others. But as we were doing that, it was incredible. I got incredible experience from just working with that.
Having that interest in the intros led me to have more interest in real life videos. So that essentially evolved into me taking an immense amount of interest in filmmaking and writing and directing, especially. Markers, Victor Laranja, he gave me $100 to start a short film because we were starting to roll out real life films for Viral, and that's when it started, when I wanted to work on a short film called The Blanketing.
and The Blanketing is my very first short film, and it's so far been accepted into I think around 9 festivals worldwide, and it was just accepted actually a couple weeks ago into the largest youth film festival on the planet in Seattle, which is really cool. I'm so honored just for people to watch it, really, for people to have the slightest inclination of wanting to see something that I made. So it's been really amazing.
Halo is the reason I became a video editor. I just love it. And I love it when people ask me, how did you get into video editing? And I say, it was because of Halo.
Through a long time, I decided to go to pursue visual effects at Savannah College of Art and Design, which is where I'm at now, and I'm now a junior. And so that's just an example of taking what you learn all those years that you put into Halo and taking that next step further. Not everyone does it, not everyone's meant to do it. You know, there's really limited options which you could do, especially applying to Halo montages. And you know, it doesn't pay the most, but you're pretty much doing it because that's what you love to do.
Through my Halo content on YouTube, a girl found me, and I fell in love with her, she fell in love with me, and she's now my girlfriend for over a year. So, love of my life through Halo. I think that makes the game alright.
It brought my family closer as well. We took all these trips together as a family. My dad, my brother, my mom, my sister, we'd all go together to all these places. And it was just, I mean, it was magic. Halo was magic for us. It was unbelievable. The thing, I mean, bringing a group of people that only went to Disney World every year as a vacation. That's pretty much the only state I'd been to up until I was 18 years old. And all of a sudden I'm flying to New York and Dallas and San Diego and all these different places. And the experience that I get not only with my friends but with my family was irreplaceable. It was looking back, I will always be able to call that the best time of my life, no matter what. So many fun memories. And then, in a flash, it was all gone. I had been in college in San Diego for a little bit, and then, you know, Halo 3 was hyped. The last couple events were some of the biggest events. They were record-breaking numbers. Everybody was enjoying how great the competition had become, and in part due to TLN, you know, these teams were so practiced going in, and then Halo Reach came out, and I feel like it wasn't even a slow decay. It seemed like right after the first event, interest in Halo in general just plummeted. After the viewers went away, TLN went away, and it seemed like everybody had just fallen out of Halo. And we held out hope for Halo 4, but it didn't deliver.
When I started losing my interest in Halo because of what I felt was decreasing quality in the franchise, I felt somehow robbed of something, because my personal enjoyment of the Halo series, the thing that drove me to continue playing and to continue seeking out new challenges and creating content and devoting a lot of time and money and effort into the franchise, I felt like that part of the game was being ripped away from me. And that actually made me really, really upset, because once Major League Gaming dropped Halo and was threatening to drop Halo for a long time. That cut out a very large avenue for me to not only play my favorite game franchise, but to continue to meet people, some very like-minded people who I could share these kinds of experiences with.
The tournament scene basically crumbled. We were reduced to traveling extremely far distances just to go to AGL events that didn't pay very much in prize money, and then sometimes didn't pay any money at all. I mean, this entire community of people that was built up over 12 years, it just felt like we were abandoned. All of a sudden there was no support anymore. I mean, the people were still there, they still loved Halo, but the support system had just vanished. It felt like the developers walked out on us, and they didn't care about the people that cared the most about their game.
What's sad is that I don't think very many people saw the downfall of Halo coming as quickly as it did. And after Halo, because like Halo was supposed to be a trilogy, and after Halo 3, it was announced that Halo Reach was gonna come out, and there was the beta, and I think most people thought that the beta was really great. Maybe it was just the excitement surrounding it, I'm not sure, but when Halo Reach came out and it was not what everyone wanted it to be, even then, like, people just were hanging on to this hope that it could be fixed, like make these patches, oh, Halo 2 was fixed, it can still happen, and it kind of just never returned to the quality that the other Halos had held up.
When you get to Reach, you have power-ups now, you have jetpacks, the most game-breaking things. You know, what's the point of having Snipe 1, Snipe 2, and Snipe 3 if you can just get from 1 to 3 with a jetpack? Like, it just defeats the purpose of holding some positions. It's much harder to do.
Souvent, les meilleures innovations compétitives sur Halo sont le fruit d'erreurs et de choses pas prévues par les développeurs. Et à l'inverse, quand les Bungie ou 443 ou Microsoft eux-mêmes, quand ils voulaient faire, disons, une volonté compétitive, à chaque fois ça foirait. Enfin, je dis à chaque fois, mais c'est souvent, en tout cas c'est remarquable, je ne sais pas si beaucoup de gens ont pensé à ça. Sur Halo 1, ils n'avaient pas prévu, ils l'ont dit eux-mêmes, que le Magnum soit si puissant. Et pour eux, c'était juste un backup, une arme quand on n'a plus de balles dans la mitraillette, quoi, ou dans le fusil à pompe, ou ce qu'on veut. Sauf que le Magnum, c'est une arme avec qui on tue tout le monde extrêmement rapidement, de très proche ou de l'autre côté de la carte. Donc c'est une arme très puissante, et plus on a une arme que tout le monde se partage dès le début, puissante, plus le jeu est compétitif. Puisqu'à la moindre erreur, vous êtes puni.
Because you see that in Halo 1 and Halo 2, other games tried to steal things from Halo a lot. They tried to be like, oh, Halo did that, we should do that, it's a really good idea. And you get more into Reach and you get more into Halo 4, and suddenly it starts becoming more like Call of Duty in its leveling system, and it's the way that you set your weapons and you get to choose what you start with and your little presets. And I think the levels is just a great example of how Halo kind of went down a little. It's still a fun game, but it's not unique anymore. It's not its own thing. It's not Halo to me anymore.
Halo 3 was great, as in no one complained about it. Everyone had it, we loved it. We were excited for the next Halo until the next Halo dropped. Halo Reach added things that it took away from the core experience of Halo. Armor abilities, sprint, they changed the game up and it didn't work out.
Quand ils ont voulu faire, pour faire l'inverse, des initiatives pour enrichir le gameplay, c'est toujours été une catastrophe. Les bulles ou les trucs sur Halo 3 qui nous mettaient, les espèces de power-up transportables, ça a tout ruiné, tout le jeu. Quand ils ont voulu mettre des armes en dual, en général ça appauvrissait le gameplay plutôt que l'enrichir. On en est même venu à la fin sur le dernier jeu avec plus de balls ou de calling qui étaient jouables, plus de power-up qui étaient utilisables. Je pense à Halo Reach qui était complètement foiré. Et le sprint par exemple. Le sprint c'est une aberration totale.
Alright, so what Halo 5 needs, it needs more on it. It just needs to be simpler. Straight up, it needs to be simpler. Don't need sprint. We can get around the maps just fine without sprint. Take it out, no one will care. We'll all just move just as fast as we used to. Even just having the abilities to disable sprint and to enable unscoping and to disable flinch. If you just want to leave that in the core game, I guess that's fine, but give us the abilities to take it out for competitive play.
I've read things that make me really pumped, like apparently somebody from Blizzard, the guy who designed the matchmaking ranking system for StarCraft 2, has been hired by 343. A community member, I think is, I don't know if he was a pro, Ghost Ayami. He's either a pro or just a big community member, has been hired like to help with tuning and everything, and like that's so cool. Like that to me is what it's all about. It seems, even though it's not Bungie anymore, it seems very Bungie-esque. Like they always really seem to really want Halo to be whatever Halo players wanted Halo to be, which is what it should be. Like,
it's so good to have people I trust working at 343 and working on Halo. I mean, to finally just see the industry wanting to go out and hire former pro players. I mean, Bravo now, the community manager, was a veteran, you know, as a player, kind of at the semi-pro level, but also coaching at the pro level. He knew the game in and out, knew what makes a winning team and what it took to win as a squad. So a lot of that was communication, good maps. You know, he knew the game in and out and how the power-ups really work. So I know he was someone I could trust on that end, just kind of looking out for the gameplay itself. But to have someone like Ghost Ayami and to have Neighbor and Dursky come in, that's really where I felt at ease. Ghost was one of the smartest guys I've ever met through gaming. You know, I met him when he was just 16 years old, the scrub from New Jersey, and now to see him in his 20s kind of helping pioneer the new multiplayer, I know Ghost is going to take us in the right direction. He knows what makes a good esport and what makes it fun for people to play.
Sur le Master Chief Collection qui va sortir là, puisque justement, pour moi, c'est la première fois en 10 ans, donc depuis Halo 1, qu'on va vraiment dans le bon sens. Alors peut-être que le futur dira qu'on s'est totalement trompé, mais quand même, il y a du 60 FPS constant, des serveurs dédiés, tout est fait pour faciliter la customisation, etc. Et ça, c'est du jamais vu, de penser à ce point-là à la compétition, et ils ont remis les niveaux comme à l'époque, etc. Remettre les bugs d'Halo 2, qu'ils ont recodé des bugs, c'est quand même rigolo. Donc il y a ce souci, cette fidélité et cette pensée en s'entourant de joueurs compétitifs comme jamais, de satisfaire notre communauté qu'on n'a jamais eu avant. La raison aussi, c'est que faire du Call of Duty à fond, ça marche pas. Et les ventes se sont écroulées, et si vous regardez les stats sur Halo 3 ou Halo 4, il y a 2 ou 3 Call of Duty dans les jeux les plus joués par mois, avant le premier Halo, ce qui était impensable à l'époque d'Halo 2, de la première Xbox, bien entendu, tout le monde s'en souviendra.
So with the Master Chief Collection and eventually Halo 5, there's a big group of players I hope to see come back. The first one is Beast Mode. Can't wait to see Legit again. He was always one of my favorite players to watch. End of Halo 2, start of Halo 3. He was that guy who could just take over a game, especially when he played with Nated. I hope we see Legit and Nated back on a squad, just like in the old Storm Ventures days. I mean, these were two of the best young guns who are now probably in their mid to late 20s, but I think they still got it. I'd love to see Elamite Warrior make his return. I hope Gandhi gets back on the sticks. Ogre 1, I know he's got a baby coming. He's living in Australia these days, but if Dan wanted to come back and play in a few tournaments, I know he's always got a spot on the main stage. And of course, I want to see Strong Side, Ogre 2, the final boss crew. I want to see Snipe Down. I want to see SK. I want to see Neighbor, all the guys that came from Seattle. You know, I wish everyone who has ever played at an MLG tournament, and especially anyone who has ever made it into the top 8 and a spot on the main stage at an MLG tournament, I hope they come back. Even the guys like Vash and the crew. So that's who I hope comes back for Halo, because I know I'm going to be on the sticks. They should all be as well.
The most excitement for me is actually a social thing, because a lot of my friends during the time of
Halo 1 and Halo 2, we all grew up playing that, so a lot of us have moved on. I evidently haven't, because I'm making this video, so but they've all displayed an interest in coming back to Halo, just because of this collection. So it's going to be, well, I've got a chance to have some fun with friends again on a great series of games, which I'm excited for.
Dude, I am so excited for the Master Chief Collection. I just played Halo 1 on LAN at San Diego Comic-Con. Now, 11 years later, on November 11th, I can play Halo CE, chill out 2v2, online, lag-free for the first time. I'm so pumped. All of the old school Halo CE guys were still on Facebook, still chatting with each other, and that's all we keep saying. 11-11-14. 11-11-14. Not just Halo 1, but doing my double shot in Halo 2. I'm going to be running midship like a boss again. Can't wait to play Halo 3. I've missed Narrows. I think that's going to be great.
With Master Chief Collection coming out, we're going to be able to relive those favorite Halo moments that we had from Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, and just relive all those moments. And a lot of new people are going to be able to experience the things that we experienced as kids. It was a huge time during my high school time Halo 2 was out, where I experienced all those little fun things from Halo 2, which captured my attention, which brought me more into the game industry, which allowed me to stay in the game industry, was Halo 2. It's what built my love for the game, for the title, for the studio, all that. So with Master Chief Collection coming out, it's up to us really at the end of the day to play it. It's up to us to enjoy it, talk about it constructively and not negatively like many of us do on Twitter. It's up to us to come out with content. If we ever want to return to a scene and share with Call of Duty, League of Legends, and great games like that, it's up to us to come out with content. If we want to see our baby Halo, something that has changed and made a significant impact in our lives, it's going to be up to you, me, all of us to come up with stuff to entertain and intrigue others into the world of Halo that we love so much, so they will come into it. And then we do have the chance to see all our professional Halo players come back, compete again. We get to see new professional shooters, new Halo players come into the scene, and we get to see new stories and experiences, because just like everything else, there's a point in time that the old school has to go away and the new school comes in and starts shining. So guys, please, when Master Chief Collection comes out, I hope you guys play it. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys actually looking forward to it. And I hope, like I just said, that when it does come out, you guys come out with all the content in the world for it.
In closing, it feels weird to be talking about it this way, because when I started this documentary, Master Chief Collection hadn't been announced, and for me it was like we're coming up to the anniversary, 10 years since Halo 2 launched, and obviously I just wanted people to be able to share their thoughts again, kind of reminisce. Obviously everyone's moved on with their lives now, and then earlier this year, 343 announced the return of Master Chief Collection and all the games we kind of know and love back in exactly the way they were before. And obviously even getting the chance to play Halo 1 lag-free online, which is going to be something special. For me, I never got to play Halo 1 online. I played it once or twice at my friends, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I think the whole mood in this kind of community has changed. I think a lot of people are looking forward to it. And I know certainly a lot of the friends that I used to play with back in the day who don't play Halo or even video games anymore are getting an Xbox One purely to play Master Chief Collection. So hopefully this, it's been nice to look back, but many more years to come with Halo.
We look at Halo as a video game and we say that's an amazing game, and it sure is. But it's not just a game. It goes so much farther than that. To the point where I wouldn't even know what to call it. I would say that Halo simply is a great thing. And we are all very lucky to have had Halo be a part of our lives. So thanks, Bungie.
I thank you so much, Zola, for giving us all the opportunity to speak a little Halo love, because it's out there and it's real and it will live on.
When I think about what Halo was to me in its golden era, it is like this overwhelming nostalgia that isn't brought on by anything else I can think of. It's crazy because and it feels weird to make this comparison, but it's crazy because
what other people had in high school in sports and what other people had in whatever clubs or communities they were in is like what I experienced through Halo. And that's not to say that I wasn't involved in sports or anything, but Halo was really the outlet that I enjoyed the most and the outlet through which I connected with people the most, and is the one that I look back on most fondly.
I think I'm going to take a year and a half off at least and just focus on Halo. I don't plan on competing, but I would like to give back to the community and also see what I can do as far as furthering my career as far as gaming goes. I would love to do just content creation. Like those things that I said I missed before. I would love to just be uploading YouTube videos daily, streaming daily, doing get better fast videos, teaching people all these tips and tricks that I learned over the last 10 years, because that's what Halo was my life for the last 10 years.
Halo has impacted my life a lot more than some may think. It wasn't just, you know, a video game for me. It was an escape, and it was a door of opportunity for me to, you know, kind of really learn more about the world, more about myself, what I wanted to do in life.
Halo 2 was like the biggest thing for me. Biggest game of my entire life.
I feel blessed to have grown up in the time frame that I did, to where I was 14 and 15, and learning how to double shot, learning how to BXR, and really I just feel blessed to have had that opportunity.
There's been a lot of bumps along the way, but Halo, I believe, means a lot more than just this video game with these characters. It's a place for people to connect, something that we've been doing for thousands of years, and I'm just so grateful that I could play at least even a minor role in it.
Oh, God, I don't know where I would be without that. I don't really know what else to say.
You know, it's been quite a ride, and one that I hope won't be over for a very, very long time.
Halo is life, Zola. Halo is life, all.
Give it up for these two contenders.